What is going on, Canes fans? This is a little different than we've had previously. We have had some tough discussions after games, but today the University of Miami found a way to beat a ranked opponent. I'm surprised as all hell. I was not expecting this, but hey, it's fantastic to see that we're somewhat pointing in the right direction. While we still saw many issues, and NC State kind of gave us some an easy way to win this game in a lot of ways. I mean, dropped passes, just had that guy caught in that pass on third down, he'd have took it to the house possibly. So I mean that all that kind of stuff changes the game completely. So Canes fans, today I got my co-host Jordan back with me. He wasn't here last week, but I got him back here, and we have got former Canes player Chavez Grant chiming in to help break down this game. Chavez, thanks for joining us.
Hey man, thanks. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I appreciate the invite.
No problem, man. We love having you on, bro. Your breakdowns are awesome. So I got to ask then, Jordan here, man. What is it today that stood out to you that maybe was a little different than what we've seen recently from the Miami Hurricanes?
The first thing that jumps out is, this was even when De'Aaron King was playing, it didn't seem like there was a lot of trust between the offensive coordinator and the quarterback. And I think we saw a little bit more of that today between Rhett Lashley and Tyler Van Dyke than we have probably any other game this season. I think it was Michigan State. De'Aaron King had like 380 yards or something like that. But I thought they gave Tyler Van Dyke a lot of wiggle room to try to make plays with his arm today. And clearly he deserved it. I mean, he had an amazing game. It was very encouraging from a redshirt freshman.
I want to say, 25 for 33, 325 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Yep. I don't know what we can ask for, guys. I mean, honestly, that's a young quarterback doing basically every possible thing we can ask him to do. Chavez, man, what did you see? Same question to you, bro. What did you see that was different this week?
Man, it looks like I think Jordan said it. It looks like they had some confidence in Tyler Van Dyke. It looks like he grew up today. Looks like he showed us his potential. There was a long 3rd and 16 where we were backed up and they ran the ball. And I was thinking, like, let him throw it. He's been playing good all game. Like, just let him throw it. We're backed up. We got nothing to lose. You know what I mean? But they ran it, but, whatever. But overall, he played a good game. I think he grew up today. I think he showed us his potential. He made some good choices. He didn't really do anything that I was like, what are you doing? And so I think going forward that, Lashley will have a little more confidence in him and, let him wing it. He showed us that he can do it.
Do you feel like this game will kind of help Lashley get some confidence himself going forward and maybe want to keep things open earlier in games? Is that the direction we could be going in?
Yeah, I think so, man. I think for offensive coordinator with a redshirt quarterback who you didn't expect to play, you have to think about it. If you're preparing for De'Aaron King to run your offense, it's probably going to look a little different than a Tyler Van Dyke. And so it might have caught him a little bit off guard. Maybe he's just getting his footing. Maybe he's just, figuring out, the play calling for a Tyler Van Dyke type of quarterback. And not only is it a different type of quarterback, he's a much younger quarterback. So, maybe you shorten your playbook. Maybe you give him some easier reads. But I think tonight, Tyler Van Dyke showed that he can handle it. And so I think that's good for Lashley to say, all right, man, you know what, we can go ahead and start opening this thing up. And I think it was a good showing tonight, definitely.
Yeah. Can I make a quick note real quick?
Always.
So last 2 games that Charleston Rambo has had good quarterback play. I want to read you his combined stat line from those 2 games, right? Michigan State and tonight. 21 receptions, 283 yards, 4 touchdowns. Last 2 games with good QB play, man. Could you imagine him like with Bryce Young throwing the ball to him?
Right. Yeah.
He's an NFL player, man. I mean, he is an NFL caliber player. Thankfully, he chose to come play at the University of Miami because if we didn't have him, oh man, we would be in a lot of trouble. I mean, I know that we got a couple guys that can make some plays, but ain't nobody doing what Rambo does on a consistent basis right now. He's a guy who can do about a little bit of everything. He can hit you in the short game. He can hit you over the middle. He can hit you deep. So, I mean, to have that versatility is such a huge thing. So, we're here on offense. Kind of curious to get your guys' takes on the run game. Chavez, what do you think about the run game for Miami? Oh, dude, he accidentally hit the – he logged himself out. He'll be back. Jordan.
Well, I'll answer the question.
Yep.
So the offensive line, in my opinion, had an up and down game. They look good at some points. They struggle at some points. I do think Jalen Knighton being back for this team is monumental, right? We talked about Charleston Rambo. He was pretty much head and shoulders the best player on the offense through the first 6 weeks of the season. And I think now having the counterpoint in the backfield with Jalen Knighton, I think it's going to allow both of them to pop, right? Because defenses they can't just key in on Rambo and be like, hey, we saw him go 12 catches, 154 yards against Michigan State. That's not going to happen because, you can't really game plan for two game-breaking talents. Chavez, I'm sure you could comment on that better than I can, having game experience.
Right.
But I think we're just making the job that much harder for defensive coordinators when we have that much talent on the field. Yeah,
Chavez, actually, if you could speak on that would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I was sorry, my connection dropped, but yeah, I mean the run game was pretty decent. I think it was very complimentary. Of course, we're gonna miss Cameron Harris, but I think Jalen Knighton is, man, he's a spark, man, especially coming out of the backfield and catching the football as well. I think they need to incorporate a little bit more of that for him. But yeah, it's definitely tough, man, when you have to plan for a run game and a pass game. We have two dynamic players that like that we're speaking about right now. It changes the game plan, man, because if you have a guy who can go down the field, who can make all the catches, you have to figure out, do we want to play underneath coverage? Do we want to play a top down coverage? Speaking of Jalen Knighton, you got to think about the zone read, the RPO. If he's coming out of the backfield and catching the ball, on a swing pass where he caught the touchdown. I mean, if you like, you can put him with any linebacker in the nation. Nobody's going to run with him. So that's another thing you have to account for. So you have to bring a DB in to cover him. So it changes everything for a defense. So I think if they keep hitting on those points, man, keep exposing those matchups, it'll definitely be good for us going forward.
I'm kind of curious actually here, Chavez. So say you're lining up against Rooster yourself. Say he's the opponent. How do you go about in a secondary trying to limit him, knowing they're going to try to get him in space to create?
Mm-hmm. Right. So again, you will have to figure out, like, if you're talking about a running back, you probably want to play him. You probably want to play him top down, because he's coming out of the backfield. So you want everything to be underneath, right? Give him the swing pass, give him the flat routes, come up and make the tackle if you can. I mean, again, it just comes back to the basics, making open field tackles. But if I was a D coordinator, I wouldn't put him with a linebacker. I wouldn't put a linebacker to match up with him. I would use at least a safety. So when you're speaking about that, if you think he's coming out of the backfield, well, now you got to bring a linebacker out of your game. You got to bring in another DB, and then maybe that opens up the run for us. Because I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of DBs, we don't like to tackle. That's not our thing. We don't want to stick our nose in there. So you're bringing me in to cover him out of the backfield, but now you're handing the ball off. So now I got to dive into the line. That's not really my thing. So I think it creates a matchup nightmare. So like I said, I think they need to keep exposing that, keep finding ways to get him the ball. The screen pass, the wheel passes, flat routes, whatever it is. He's obviously a dynamic player.
The way that we run this offense, Jordan, do you think that Knighton is actually going to be a much more effective guy getting the ball on short passes in space than he is going to be actually as a runner?
Yeah, I think, I mean, just by virtue of what it is, I think passing the ball gives a ball carrier more flexibility, right? I mean, that way he doesn't have to line up behind the line and kind of dive straight into them. I mean, just by virtue of what it is, I think running a route out of the backfield gives flexibility to Knighton as a ball carrier. There was a comment on here. T. Brown said Rooster's too small to carry the load and he can't block. He's good as a scat third down back. I think that might be a little strong, but I think that is definitely in the right direction. I think Rooster will look even better when you have a guy like Don Chaney next to him, where it can really kind of be the the pop and sizzle or the thunder and lightning type
Right,
of
right.
thing. I know that's a little bit outdated. Like that was kind of a thing 10 years ago that the NFL was doing. But I mean, if you have the personnel for it, you got to do it, right?
Speaking about some of these positives that we've seen today from TBD and guys like Rooster, that takes me back to the offensive line. What did you guys think about the offensive line performance? Go ahead, Chavez.
I think they did all right, especially since we've been, watching them lately, and they've had some pretty bad games. I think they did okay. I think they did better than they have been doing. But I think it also helped with, the running game and the passing game. Everything was flowing, so we kind of kept the defense on their heels, and we can't ignore the fact that Tyler is mobile. So he ran out of a few sacks if we're going to be honest. So that helped a lot as well. But then there were some other plays where, as soon as he set to pass the ball, people were in his face. So, you take what you can get. It was a good game. The guys fought hard. Obviously, I think like we spoke about last time, we can obviously see that, the guys are playing hard, despite what the record is right now. They're landing on the line. They're not laying down for anything. But overall, I think the offensive line did a lot better than what we've seen lately.
What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, kind of a mixed bag, but considering where we've been this year, I think the offensive line had a good performance.
Right.
So
yeah.
Progress is progress. Even if it's relative success, and so I think that's all you can ask a unit to do is to improve week on week, right? So good game for the offensive line, but I still don't think we're up to the standard that we have to be if we want to be a winning program.
Yeah.
We got our tight end a little bit more involved today, Will Mallory. It wasn't a lot, but we got him a little bit more involved. Do you think that this is going to be something Lashley's going to try to kind of lean on to show that, hey, we still have faith in Will Mallory. We still think he can be a player. So either one of you guys, go ahead.
I forgot he was on the team, man.
Oh, tell me about it.
You go ahead, Chavez.
Yeah, man, I agree with Jordan, man. I forgot he was on the team, especially watching the games last year. There was a lot of, big expectations for him this year, and I don't know why they just, decided to go away from him. There was another, I think, the freshman tight end, he had another big play as well. So yep. I definitely think that's like another matchup nightmare. He's a big guy, he's got great hands. He's a strong guy. Send him over the middle. Yeah. Send him over the middle. Send Rambo deep, and have Rooster out in the flats, and you lead these defenses to try to make a decision on, because either way you go, we can make a big play. So I definitely think we need to tap into that a little bit more, even if there's just some packages here and there where we go 2 tight ends, some play action. I definitely think it's something that we should tap into a little bit more.
Yeah, I struggle when trying to analyze our offense this season because I don't know what to pinpoint as the problem. We've had so many like weird things that I don't think any of us expected. I tend to be fairly realistic, maybe even pessimistic. I thought that we'd have like a top 30 unit on offense. I mean, there's just talent all over. We had Derek King, we had Mike Harley, who's like one of the all-time leaders in receiving yards here. Charleston Rambo, who's as good as advertised, if not better. Stable of running backs, experienced offensive line, Will Mallory. Like, it doesn't make sense, man. So I don't know whether you got to blame the O-line. I don't know if it's position coaches. I don't know if it's play calling and coordinator. I don't know if it's players that we need to blame. So it's hard for me, man. I wish I could say something and like correctly identify it, but I don't even know where to go with it, man.
Well, I'll tell you what really stood out to me today, and it's been something that I've made points on in the past. When the deep pass game is starting to click a little bit for us, it really changes the Lashley offense. And it's not even just TVD having to connect on all these passes. It's the mere threat of having it happen. That change, Chavez can speak on that. That changes how defenses line up. It changes how they operate, wanting to go either run in or be on their back heels. I think that I just didn't want it to be understated, I guess, that this deep pass game is so crucial. Was there anything about the deep pass game that stood out to you guys today?
Joe, you want to take this one?
Well, I think it's confidence, man. It's play calling and confidence. I mean, I would be interested to know how healthy De'Aaron King was, in the first few games before he hurt his shoulder, because it did not look like play calling showed much confidence in his ability, right? Like, he had training wheels on it, at least from the way it looked, and he also didn't look as good as last year. So, Rhett Lashley, it seems like he's finally starting to dig into the playbook a little bit, starting to get creative, starting to be a little more aggressive. And I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if that's on Lashley. I don't know if that's on Manny Diaz. I don't know if that's on, maybe stuff we're not seeing in practice on Green Tree. I don't. Chavez, you could probably comment on how that process works in terms of how practice affects what's called in the game. But it's just kind of weird, man. Like, it looked like there was a different playbook today than the last few weeks. That's what I was saying, man.
Yeah, and another thing we have to think about is the pressure that coaches have when your record is 2-4, we have a losing record. Especially when if even if the offense or the defense isn't performing well, if your record overall is not good, as a coach, you kind of get to this point, and especially when there are rumblings that the head coach is going to get fired. As an assistant, you pretty much know that you're going to be gone as well. So it's kind of like, at this point for last year, it's like, well, what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
Like, let's throw it all out there. Let's throw everything against the wall and see if it sticks, But I think they definitely have to open up the deep pass game because, for defenses, it changes everything for us. If I'm a corner or a safety, if I'm a corner, I used to line up at 6 yards. I might want to line up at 8 now. If I'm a safety, I used to line up at 10. I might want to line up at 12 to 15. So again, if I'm at 15 yards as opposed to 10, you hand the ball off. I got 5 yards I got to make up before I get into the mix.
Yep.
So it plays into everything, man. Even if you pick one play here or there during the game where you just tell Tyler Van Dyke, hey, look, this guy's going to run deep. If it's not open, just overthrow him. That threat has to be there. It has to be there for the secondary, so you can know, and that stops us from sitting on the short routes. But that threat has to be there. You have to create that thought in my mind that he might go deep on this one, because if not, then I'm just going to start sitting on routes.
Chavez, as you being a former college football player, I noticed a couple times that we would try to get TVD involved in rollouts, and especially on 3rd down and 5, 3rd down and 6. Does that make it a lot easier on the defense when they cut off half of the field, basically, and run to just one side? Or is there things they can do that really, really throw you off?
Now, the only thing, it makes it easier for the defense because, like you said, it cuts off half the field. So now we're just flowing.
Yep.
And, the rule number 1 for quarterbacks is don't throw back against your body. Yep. So, 99% of the time he's not going to throw backside. So you're just going to flow to the side that he's rolling. Now, what usually happens is they'll try to get one of those guys in the flats, like a rub route. So that's usually the toughest thing. And you see that every week with every team who runs a rollout. They try to get that guy in the flats for like a 3rd and short. But if you have a defense prepare for that and you pass that off, then it just becomes like a scramble drill. As long as your DNs keep contained and you plaster to your guy in the secondary, your safeties are flowing over the top, then it kind of helps. So again, that's a 3rd and short type of play. And if they don't have anything right now on the immediate rollout, then after that it's just kind of like a free for all.
Jordan, I got a question for you about TVD specifically here. Okay. What do you think about his legs? Were you caught by surprise to see that he was a little more athletic? And one thing I guess I'll make a point on too is it wasn't just the fact that he was more athletic than I thought he was. He made smart runs. He made smart decisions. That's what stood out to me.
Yeah, he's kind of sneaky. And I think there's a few things for that. One, like, he's tall. He kind of looks like a giraffe when he's back there. And he's also kind of thick too. Like, he doesn't look like an athlete, right? He's kind of lurpy and thick, And then, but I agree. He's a smart ball carrier. He's shown to make good reads when he decides to tuck it and run. And I think that's actually the biggest part of being a mobile quarterback is knowing when to tuck it and run. Because you are like, he's probably going to be a professional athlete, right? Like, if the field's open, he should be able to get 8 yards. Pretty much anyone who's playing Division I or NFL should be able to. It's just, I guess, doing it and then making the right read. So, yeah, I think he's a little bit sneaky. I'm really happy with his legs so far.
Chavez, what do you think? And then it's not just TVD taking off for positive yards on his feet. It's what he does behind the line of scrimmage as well. Do you see anything you appreciated there with his legs?
Yeah, like I said earlier, man, I think he scrambled out of a few sacks, honestly. I think he scrambled out of a few sacks. He kept the play alive. And another one of the things I really like is, when he scrambled, he didn't see anything, just throw the ball away. A lot of young players, they don't do that. They run out of bounds and they'll take a 3-yard loss. So they'll try to take a hit that's unnecessary. So again, him being mobile, of course, like Jordan said, sneaky mobile. I think it's a great thing, man. We always talked about De'Aaron King and his ability to go the distance. But with the Tyler Van Dyke, I'm not sure he can make it the distance. But again, if you can scramble out of a few sacks, man, you can keep the play alive. I think it's a great thing. So it's a great asset for him.
There was something that happened in this game today, and it happened multiple times, not consistently for us. But what I saw was actual discipline at times. Did you guys actually see some discipline from this team? I saw it on defense a couple times, actually. Yeah. It's kind of mind-blowing to me because it's been the exact opposite lately. I'm not sure how they got that figured out. Chavez, is that something that get worked out in practice, even after a bad performance?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think we talked about this when we were about to play. Was it Central Connecticut?
Yeah.
Or something like, yeah. So I was saying that, when you go into games like that, that you're much more talented than the other team. So that week of practice, what you need to focus on is the details, and discipline is in the details. So that's absolutely something you can work on. Like you said, man, I really saw, especially in the run game, it looked like guys were keeping contained. There were a bunch of hats to the football. There were missed tackles here and there, but there were 2 and 3 guys right behind them. The freshman kid, I love him, man, Kitchens. I think it was like a 4th and 8. They ran the out and they caught it, and he made the tackle. That was huge.
Amazing.
That was huge. And again, open field tackling, that's football 101. If you can make those tackles, that's what makes great defenses. So he made the tackle that needed to be made, and we made the stop, man. And that, of course, it wasn't at the end of the game where everybody can say, well, that was the game-winning play, but it kept us in position to win the game.
I am going to tap in with the chat room here. You guys seem to think that what I'm saying is that we are playing outright disciplined football. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we showed moments of discipline, and there was clear moments of discipline today, especially on defense. So that's where I'm at with this. I don't want you guys thinking that I'm just nuts. I know we got a ton of problems, but it was just something that I hadn't seen. I hadn't even seen hardly a lick of discipline. So just to see it a couple times today in big moments, it was just kind of refreshing, man. It really was.
Yeah.
Was there anything else on offense that stood out to you guys today? Execution, play calling, anything that really, really stood out?
I guess just to further comment on TVD is poise, man. That didn't look like a guy who was in his 3rd or 4th start in his career. Didn't look like that to me. Like he just looked like he's a baller, man. He has natural ability, and you can see it on the field. Obviously, the learning curve is steep when you're playing Power 5 football. I think we saw that in the last few weeks. Start a little slow, get some confidence by the end of the game. But he came out guns a-blazing today. Even though some of his biggest plays were just getting the ball to his playmakers in space. I mean, that's the game, man. That's what Ken Dorsey made a Hall of Fame career on, doing that, right? Yep. So, I was very impressed with TVD's poise today. I'm almost afraid of the QB competition next year because I don't want anyone to leave. the culture of college football now is with the transfer portal is that guys leave for opportunities. I'm almost scared of that happening, man, with our QB room because we got some special guys.
Yeah, as I was watching the game, I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, man, next year it's going to be a quarterback battle because after watching the spring game, I was like, that Jake Garcia kid is the real deal. But now the way Tyler Van Dyke is playing, man, I think it's going to be a toss-up. I really do think it is. But like Jordan, like you said, man, I think Tyler, he just looked really comfortable, man. He looked like he had command of the offense. He didn't look rattled at any point, even when we were down. He just looked comfortable. He looked like he understood what was going on.
Yeah.
You can see him going through his reads. He was making good throws. Man, I really Restrepo caught the pass down the middle, man. Oh, it was so sweet. It was so sweet. I thought he was gonna reel it in, but it's throws like that gives quarterbacks confidence. Even though you got in catch it, it was right in his hands. He had the opportunity. It would have been a tough catch, but as a quarterback, now you know that I can make that throw. Yeah. So that's really that's a confidence builder for him, and man, I think he did awesome tonight.
Yeah, and how often do we see? I know in the past of the program, it was a thing for Miami Hurricanes to talk smack, to talk trash a little bit before the game, and show up and back it up in a big way. I feel like that is kind of gone from the program at this point. You see it on occasion, but it's more of the exception rather than the rule. It felt really good to see a young player, show confidence, kind of talk his smack, do his thing in the pregame, and then show up and give a world-class performance during the game. I mean, dude, that's the type of stuff that we've been missing. I mean, that's not the only ingredient. There's more that goes into the game, but part of it is that moxie, swag, if you will, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it is. I mean, swag isn't being flashy. It's showing up and dominating your opponent, right? And Tyler Van Dyke, I feel like you could call it a dominant performance in regards to him handling what he can handle, right?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of chiming here from the chat group about the defense, so I think it's about time we start talking about this Canes defense, guys. What was it today? Good or bad? Jordan, you go ahead and start this. Good or bad? What did you see today, or what was typical that you saw today?
Worry about our defensive backs, man. James Williams and Cameron Kinchens are special talents. There's no denying that. I think James Williams is as good of a game as he had last week. I think he showed that he's a world-class prospect, perhaps the most talented 19-year-old I've ever seen play football. I think he kind of came back down to earth this week. I saw him get blown up like 3 times. But that's beside the point, right? Because I'm not worried about James Williams. I saw Isaiah Dunson get beat twice on deep balls.
Yep.
Bubba Bolton, I mean, we could talk for hours on him, man. And, I don't know. Cam Kinchens was kind of up and down, had some great plays, had some plays where – you probably could have done a little better, but we need more cohesion and we need more consistency from that unit. And unfortunately, we're going to have to lean on the true freshmen. That's not really fair, but that's just kind of what we're going to have to do. They're the talent,
Chavez, I saw you smile there when we brought up Bubba Bolton. I was going to be asking you bluntly here, man. What's up, man? What's your take on Bubba Bolton? And drop the reel.
All right, so I think preseason I saw that he was ranked like one of the top 10 safeties, and he might be. I think he's a junior, that he might be leaving, and he's going to be drafted. But I think, to be honest, I think this year he's played himself out of the draft. There's no, I just don't see why you would select him. I mean, he's just been, his tackling has been horrible, his effort's been horrible. It's just. And I've been watching him because I've heard his name when he transferred. Like I said, I heard his name. Mel Kiper ranked him like one of the top 10 safeties. So, last year I was like, oh, guy's pretty good. But so I've been watching him this year, thinking that, seeing if he's going to leave, if he's going to stay. But in the past few games, man, he's been played out. He's been outplayed by Kitchens. He's been outplayed by Williams. And he's played himself out of consideration. So I think he's out there because he's experienced, but his play is not just. I mean, it's not up to par, and I don't know why. If you were going to play him, he would be. I think at this part, he'd probably be like maybe a third or fourth option. I mean, I would have to throw my young guys out there because they're playing much better.
Is this pretty much all mental for him right now?
I don't know, man. I don't. Well, I do know. I believe it is mental because your talent doesn't just drop off like that.
Yeah.
Nobody's talent just goes downhill. Even if you're not being developed by your coaches, you will still be where you were last year. And even as you grow as a player and you become more experienced, you play more games, you watch more films, you become better. So I think it is mental, and I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if he's looking over his shoulder at the young guys. I don't know if he's worried about the record. I don't know if he's worried about, if he's going to leave this year. But I think it's all in his head, man, because we know he can play. But if it doesn't translate to the field, like they used to say when we played, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. So, he's not showing us a lot right now. Maybe he's more of a vocal leader. Or maybe he's more of an experienced leader, but his play just isn't showing this year.
There's a mention here in the chat saying Bubba is playing with a torn labrum currently. And I can say that I played in the secondary myself, and having a torn labrum in your shoulder trying to drop and make a hit on somebody, you can think questionably about that. You can double take that, and you can do what you can to try to not have that impact hit that shoulder directly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you get that goofy arm tackling stuff, the Olay stuff where guys just run right through you. So hopefully that's something. I know you can't really get that fixed in season, especially while you're playing. But hopefully they can at least manage the pain aspect for it because, I mean, it's going to be clear. Bubba Bolton is going to get snaps on this team no matter what.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You guys hit it. You guys nailed it. These younger guys are flat out better. Cam Kinchins already shows more Power 5 ability as a safety than Bolton does, in my opinion. James Williams, his physical traits alone make him an absolute nightmare.
Yep.
Where do we go with Bubba Bolton then? If you're T-Rob, where do you go with Bolton this next week?
That's tough, man. Like, I mean, I'm giving an outsider perspective, right? I feel bad for the guy. Like, he sacrificed to come back for the team, try to win big, and it's just not working out. Like, I imagine when it's more of a personal relationship, like these coaches have with these kids, like, that'd be tough, man. That'd be tough to sit him down and be like, look, we just can't play you. When he's probably like, dude, I could be in the NFL right now. Like, why are you doing this to me? I came back for you guys to try to help the team. That'd be tough. But at the end of the day, I mean, the eye in the sky doesn't lie, right? I like that. I'm going to steal it. But it's true.
What they say.
It's true, man. Like, he's not playing at a winning level. And, I mean, are you going to let personal relationships interfere with winning or not? Like, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Has Bubba pretty much lost his shot in the NFL currently?
That's tough. I think he'll get a shot.
Yeah.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's highly regarded as he was before. I don't know. I definitely don't think he's a top 10 safety anymore. Not according to his play, but I think he'll get a shot. I think they will, because when NFL teams are looking at guys, they consider everything. They're going to talk to the coaches. They're going to talk to the medical staff. So there may be an injury that we don't know about. And when the scouts go in, the medical staff is going to tell them everything they need to know. They're going to stick up for him. The coaches are going to tell them, maybe he's going through something in his personal life. Maybe he does have a torn labrum. So the scouts will find out, all right, hey, look, man, this guy was playing with a torn labrum for half the season. That's why he wasn't performing up to his standards. You know what? Let's give him a shot. Let's get him healthy. And so I think he'll get a shot. I think he's proven that he can play. Again, we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes, but I think he'll get a shot. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good player. He hasn't played up to his standards, but I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't see a reason why. I mean, especially if he does, like, let's say hypothetically he does have a torn labrum, like, that's going to be on record, right? Like, any NFL scouts that talk to the team, they're going to know that. they're going to have his film from previously in his career. At the very worst, he's going to get a camp invite so that they can evaluate him in person with other NFL players.
Right.
I think at the very least, he's going to get camp invites. I don't know if he'll be drafted or not. Like, who knows? But he's going to get a shot for sure. He's too physically gifted and has already shown too much on the field. I mean, if I was a talent evaluator in the NFL, I would really question, like, you know, looking at all of his tape from last year, I'd be like, why is it after week 7 in the Clemson game? Why does his tape just drop off a mountain? You know, like, was there an injury there too? Or, you know, like, what's going on with this guy? Is it mental? Is it physical? Is it a work ethic? Is it a desire type of thing? You know, does he, I don't know, something about that Clemson game, man. It's almost like his soul left his body or something. He just like isn't all that interested in football anymore. But I have no idea. I don't want to say that definitively. I'm just saying what it looks like from the couch, right? So
another issue that we've had on our defense has been our linebacking core. I'm kind of curious, what did you guys see from our linebacking core today? Jordan, go ahead.
It's rough, man. It's been rough for 2 years, bro. You know, Corey Flagg, I was drinking the Corey Flagg Kool-Aid, man. I think I was making the Corey Flagg Kool-Aid
Yeah, you were.
in the offseason. You know, I like, he showed a lot as a true freshman. And I thought that he would continue to develop and solidify his role. You know, he's not the most physically gifted, like, specimen for a linebacker. You know, he's not the quickest, whatever, but he has, like, he showed ball hawking tendencies last year. He just kind of always showed up in the right space, kind of like a Shaq Quarterman, right? I was hoping that we could get that kind of stuff, but dude, there's just not really anything. I mean, Keontra Smith has popped a little bit this year on occasion. But man, it's overall there's not a whole lot to be happy with when it comes to linebackers this year.
Chavez, you know, was there anything from this linebacker unit that you saw different this week, or, you know, anybody doing anything special or not special, or did you see any attempts by our DCs to actually change the way we're running our linebacking unit?
Nah, I didn't see much. I think you know, that unit is just kind of existing right now. You know, nobody's standing out. I think as a whole, the defense did better this week. But again, that you know, that unit isn't standing out. Same thing with our secondary. You know, we have a few players here and there that are standing out and that are giving us something, but you know, the secondary isn't giving us a lot. The D line isn't giving us a lot. And when you think about football as a whole, like all of the units are intertwined. So, you know, for example, if we can't create we're not getting any pressure with our front four at all, at all. So that leaves our linebacking core out to dry. That hangs our defensive backs out to dry, because now if you want to create some pressure, now I've got a blitz. Yeah. Well, now my secondary is in man. I don't care what you say or what team you are. When you're playing against Division I athletes, it's hard to cover, especially if they have time. So everything's intertwined, man. We got to find a way to create some pressure with our guys up front. And, you know, if our D tackles are taking up, you know, 2 bodies, then that frees up our linebackers. So again, man, everything's intertwined. We've got to, you know, that's why they say the games are won in the trenches. That's where everything begins. So, you know, the linebacker core is kind of just existing right now. Everybody was flying to the ball tonight, so we look better as a defense as a whole. But, you know, there's no one unit that's really standing out that we can say, hey, this unit is going to carry our defense.
Yeah, I had tempered expectations on the defense coming into the season. Looking up and down the depth chart, I mean, all of the returning guys with experience had, I guess, hadn't really shown me much. You know, I guess there's a lot of, you know, some of the corners that were returning were hot button, you know, topics, DJ Ivy, Al Blades, you know, to Corey Couch. Like, they had shown good performances and abysmal performances last year. But man, like the D line, all the returning guys with starting experience, kind of average, average at best. Same with the linebackers and the safeties. So we're really like kind of leaning on our young talent to pop, and that's a weird position to be in, man. Like, how are you going into a season playing a Power 5 schedule and being like, okay, we really need our 18-year-olds to show up and dominate some 23-year-olds tonight,
Right.
like, and it's across the board too. We're like, man, we need Leonard Taylor to be a force in the middle if we want to get some pressure tonight, right? It's like, well, he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
We need James Williams to make some plays in the backfield. Well, he's also 18 years old. And those guys are certainly capable of it from a talent point of view. But I mean, you see James Williams get blown up a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him get blown up by a running back in pass protection, right? That's probably not going to happen after he gets more strength and conditioning. But that's the nature of relying on true freshmen, right? They're guys that haven't had the 4 years of great diet and exercise. They're guys that haven't had the 4 years of being coached up by someone making hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird position, man. So I can't say that I'm surprised. But I mean, that's like, how are we in year 7 of Manny Diaz being a Miami Hurricane and we still have no linebackers? He's been over that position group his whole time here. Just food for thought, man.
There was something brought up here, Mr. HD. I'm glad you brought it up because it's something I wanted to address. And it's not just how we do a bad job of hiding our blitzes. What really irritates me, guys, are the amount of delayed blitzes that we run. I don't know if that irks you guys as much as me, but Chavez, man, what do you think about the way we blitz?
Man, you called that out. It was right before the half. And when they scored a touchdown down the middle. And the first thing I was thinking is, in that situation, you cannot blitz from depth. You cannot bring a linebacker or a safety from their original position and have them blitz. That's too much time. If you're going to blitz, okay, that's fine. I get it. These guys need to be on the line, so the quarterback has to make a decision right now. But if you're coming from depth, it doesn't make it. There's no point. You give the offensive line, you give the running backs time to see what's going on. They can switch off. They can. I don't understand why we do it. And then half the time when Bubba Bolton or one of the safeties are coming from the outside, they stop. They run into the backfield. A guy steps up to them and they stop. Like, what? Keep going. Yeah. Try to run him over or try to dip inside or outside, but they just stop and they stand and they try to jump and throw it. So we're bringing pressure, but we're not getting pressure. So again, that leaves our secondary. We're hanging them out to dry. We like I call it, like my coach used to tell me, Coach McGriff, Coach Shannon, Coach Tim Walton, Coach Levitt. He used to tell us all the time, look, these guys are on scholarship too. So you bringing these late blitzes, you're hanging us out to dry. So the blitzing, man, I can, you can see it every time. But the worst part is that you can't blitz from depth. It just takes too long.
What do you see there, Jordan? Is it a predictability? Is it just too many delayed blitzes that aren't hitting home? What do you see with our blitzing packages?
I mean, I would throw it back a little bit to what Chavez was saying earlier. How everything's intertwined on defense, right? If the defensive line isn't creating any havoc, like when those blitzes come, right? Because, I mean, we're a 4-man front, right? So there's an extra lineman every play. So, I mean, we're sending those late blitzes. We're not creating havoc with the front 4 anyways. Like, it's easy pickings for the offensive line, man. It's just kind of cascading failures, right? It's like we're calling the wrong plays. We're in wrong position. We're not getting pressure immediately. So it's like nothing's working. And that's from rip, right? Right as the ball is snapped, nothing's working on defense. So I don't know how to fix that. I mean, that's why I'm doing a YouTube show and not on the sideline, right?
Is there anything that we can do to help disguise these delayed blitzes, Chavez, or are these just so far screwed up that we really can't disguise them anymore?
you can't when you're playing Division I football and you're playing against coaches who have coached in the NFL and who have coached years. Like he said, they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're teaching these quarterbacks in the offenses. They teach us, even on defense, they teach us that even the small differences in where guys line up will tell you what's about to happen. So if Bubba Bolton is a safety and now all of a sudden he's lining up in the box, he's probably going to blitz. 9 times out of 10, Bubba Bolton always blitzes on the outside. So if he's in the box and he's lining up outside the defensive end, he's probably going to blitz. You can try to disguise it as a coverage. Maybe we have some coverages that look like that, and that's fine. But again, the thing about blitzes is to time up the snap or to have the quarterback make a decision right now. It's not for him to see the blitz coming from 8 yards away. That doesn't help. So if we're going to blitz, then we need to be timing up the snap, or you need to be at the line. I don't know if you guys watch NFL football too, if you're a football fan, but the Miami Dolphins, they have this package where they line up everybody, the whole defense. Everybody's lined up at the line. And so they have 2 packages though. So when the ball snaps, either everybody will blitz or everybody will drop out. So, and it looks great because most of the time it works, but they're lined up at the line. So when the blitz works, it works because by the time the quarterback gets to his 3-step drop, guys are in his face because they're coming from the line. They're not coming from 8 yards away where they got to run 8 yards to get to the line, then another 5 yards to get to the quarterback. So, but again, that comes to coaching. If you know that our D-line isn't going to get any pressure, they're not taking up bodies, then we need to line guys up at the line. So these offensive linemen have to make a decision right now: who am I going to block and who we're going to let go. And then the running back has to decide where am I going to step up, who am I going to pick up. So again, it comes back to coaching. I think we got to find a better way to do it.
So am I fair at saying that this is more of an issue with scheme than it is with talent?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because coaches tell you where to blitz from.
Yep.
Right. So they tell you, hey, you're going to blitz from depth. You're going to blitz from here. So, but as a coach, if I know that you blitzing from 5 yards away isn't creating any pressure, why am I going to tell you to blitz from 5 yards away? I don't care if that's the scheme. The ultimate scheme is to create pressure or to get a sack. So I know it may fit the scheme to say, hey, blitz from 5 yards away. But if you're blitzing 5 yards away, the quarterback has time to make a pass, then why am I blitzing? So I think it's up to the coaches to say, hey, look, this package we have isn't work. We need to run some stunts. We need to blitz guys from the line. We need to have them drop out, whatever it is. But we've got to find a way to create some pressure because, I mean, my guy had all day back there, especially if we're just bringing 4. He's got all day. He's hanging out. He's making sandwiches back there, and he's making all the throws.
Yeah.
Well, one more spot we got to talk on here, guys, and it's something that unfortunately was a very negative point, was special teams. I frankly don't know what direction to go anymore for our kick return, punt return game. I really don't. We've got athletes. We've got guys who can catch a football and run.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be this hard. Jordan, what do we got to do, man?
Don't touch it. That's all you got to do is don't touch it. Don't even send out a returner back there, man. I mean, we had this problem. What was it? Was it last season or was it 2 years ago? Where we literally, like all the content creators were saying, don't even send anyone back there. I think it was last season.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Still.
Who's teaching these guys how to catch punts, man? Jonathan Patke, that's who.
Patke, yep. Patke's job has been saved by Headley and the Borregales brothers. Everything else has been outright atrocious.
I hope that he is sending a few grand out of each paycheck to the Borregales family.
Seriously.
He should. He really should.
Chavez, what do you think about our special teams, especially our return units? What can we do to bring some life to that side of the ball?
I don't know, man. I didn't start returning punts and kicks until I got to the University of Miami. Coach Shannon put me back there for whatever reason. So I will say that punts are a little hard and a little scary to catch.
Yeah.
But you have to find it's like it's kind of like an it factor. Some guys it doesn't bother them. It doesn't like they want that moment. Other guys just they want to get back there and see what it's like. So I think we have to find somebody who has that it factor, somebody who, or Coach Shannon used to say, look, just catch the ball. I don't care about a return. Just catch the ball. Save us a first down, or save us 10 yards because the ball, it'll hit, it'll bounce, it'll run back,
Yeah.
And they used to always tell us, put your heels on the 10-yard line. If the ball goes over your head, let it go. So I think you got to find the right guy. Even if you just send somebody back there and say, look, I don't want to return. I just want you to catch the ball. That's it. But yeah, I think maybe they haven't found the right guy. And my guy tonight, man, he drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Because I think he muffed the punt and he picked it up and he tried to run and he fumbled it. I'm like, look, man, once you muff the punt, just fall on it, bro. Just leave it. Yep. That's it. Because you can't really fix it after that. So that one, I was stressed out on that one. But maybe they haven't found the guy. Maybe there's no guy with the it factor. But put somebody back there with sure hands. Maybe you put Rambo back there and tell him, look, man, just catch the ball.
Yep.
Don't run. Every punt that comes, fair catch it, and let's go play offense.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't put Rambo back there. I mean, at this point, it's kind of a joke if we're not getting him the ball 10 times a game. Like, he is pretty clearly – I mean, Rooster is showed out, right? Rooster is also on that level. But there's not really anybody else like Rambo. If we're not – just throw him a bubble screen, hand the ball off to him, do whatever you have to do, send him out for punt returns. Just get the ball in his hands, man. We don't have athletes like him. Well, players. We don't have skilled players like him.
So from what I'm gathering here, then, this is not just about the fact that, because, a lot of people think in special teams, you just get a fast guy back there, you get him the ball, and
right.
he makes magic. This is a mental game. It's a major mental game, and especially, like you said, Chavez, in the punting game, because it's a totally different vibe from that. How do you get players who have had issues with these kind of issues? Can you correct them, or are they the type of mistakes that cannot be corrected?
I mean, they say coaching can fix anything, but at the same time, man, like I said, I think it's really just an it factor, which is why you don't see many Devin Hesters come through. When have we seen another guy like that before or after him? It's really just an it factor of guys who have that vision and who have that, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just an it factor. So you can try to coach a guy, you can try to put it into him, but I think at this point, at this stage in their career, young guys or old guys, like I said, you put somebody back there, you tell them fair catch it, let's go play offense. There has never been there wasn't a Devin Hester before having Devin Hester. There won't be another one after him. You have guys like Dante Hall, who was really good, Devin Hester, but after that, maybe Deion Sanders, but that list is really short, man. That list is really short. When you're standing back there by yourself and that ball is just hanging, and these guys are flying down the field and they can't wait to get to you. And the hardest part is you're looking at the ball. You don't know where these guys are. You don't know if I'm going to get the ball and they're right in your face. So again, man, it's very nerve wracking. And I think it really just comes down to it factor, man. Punt returners, good punt returners are few and far in between.
So, and being a quality punt returner, then, would that basically go hand in hand with trusting the guys on your team that are going to block for you and set you up?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because, like I said, you don't know where the guys who are flying down the field, you don't know where they are. Because you're looking up at the ball, and your main job is to catch the ball. And
so you need your teammates to be your eyes for you.
Your teammates got to be your eyes for you. They got to stop those gunners, because you have to make a decision. You're basically making your decision based off of how far the ball is going and how long it's in the air. So you got to make a decision. If that ball is up there for 3 or 4 seconds, you better fair catch it, because these guys can run. They're going to be in your face. If the ball went really far then you can catch it and try to run with it because, it creates some distance. But again, man, it's a learning curve. You got to trust the guys who are blocking for you, really.
So you have to kind of have a really good mental clock in your mind, yeah, to be able to just
100%.
timing sharp. Because 0.5 seconds can be 0.5 too late.
Exactly. And it's happening right now. So like I said, man, it's an it factor. When that ball is hanging in the air and you're just out there, and it's like you're thinking, do I catch it? Do I fair catch it? If I catch it, is this guy going to hit me? Am I going to muff it? I mean, you have confidence in yourself, but there's a lot going on when you just look up in the sky, in a dark sky, and all you can see is is a little ball fluttering. So yeah, man, there's a lot to think about, and it comes down to the confidence, in the guys on the field who are blocking for you, and the confidence in yourself as well, man. I think I can't say it enough, man. It's really just an it factor, which is why Devin Hester is the best to ever do it, and there's not many guys on that list.
Well, guys, we have got quite a few Canes that have wanted to hear us talking about coaching, so we'll get into that next. First thing I got to do is Mike Williams. Thank you for the $10 donation. It says, love my Canes, not Manny. I think we're all sitting in that boat, brother. I think we're all sitting in that boat. So, we get a win today, guys. We get a win today against a top 25 team. What does this mean for Manny Diaz? Honestly, Jordan, you go ahead and start off. What does this absolutely mean for Coach Manny Diaz?
This is a complex topic, man, because assuming that your administration is going to do the right thing shows inherent trust in your administration. Now, what have they done for us to trust them? Until I'm proven wrong, I'm just going to assume that they are looking for reasons to not fire Manny Diaz. And tonight, Tyler Van Dyke and all of the players that showed out, Rambo, Knighton, anyone who had a good game, gave the administration a reason not to fire Manny Diaz. And it's unfortunate that us as fans are put in that position, right? Us as fans, we shouldn't have to cheer for the team to do bad for the smart business decision to be made. That's asinine, right?
Yeah. It's backwards.
How dumb is that, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not the professionals here. We're not the people making hundreds of thousands of dollars to be school administrators, or we're not the ones sitting on the board of trustees. We're not the ones, with law degrees so that we can be athletic directors or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that shouldn't be our job to hold everyone accountable. And it's really a stupid position that the university is choosing to put all of us fans in, that we're going to have to start cheering for losses. We're going to have to start not paying money to go see our favorite teams until the right business decisions are made. It's weird. It's just weird, and it's horrible management.
Is there anything that Diaz can take from this game specifically and run with it and change things? Or have we already seen the real Manny Diaz head coach? Have we already discovered who he really is? And is this, where we get these moments of success here and there? Go ahead, Chavez.
I think we've seen who Manny is. But I also think we've seen the type of players and the talent that we have. We lost 2 close games. We won tonight. Tyler Van Dyke is growing. We've got a lot of young talent. Our 2 safeties are great. Rooster is great. But I think we've seen the most we're going to see out of Manny. I think from here it's like downhill for Manny. I don't think, I don't think he's going to excel from here. Especially when we talk about our defense and him being a defensive coach. There's just not a lot to be proud of, man, especially when that's your wheelhouse. I don't think there's anything that Manny can point to and say, look what I've done here with my defense. Like, my D-line, our D-line is great every year. Yeah. That's my doing. Or our linebackers are great every year, or our secondary is great every year. That's just not the case. So I think we've seen the most of what we're going to get out of Manny. But I think we've seen a lot of promise, from our team and, the fight that they've shown us, the ability that we have. Tyler Van Dyke's a young quarterback. Jake Garcia is a young quarterback, and I think that's really been our missing piece. Our wide receivers are young. Hopefully, we can get something out of them next year. Rambo he's pretty much holding it together right now.
Yeah.
Cameron Harris, he's a good back, man. He got hurt. Chaney's a good back. Rooster's a good back. So I think from a roster standpoint, we're capable. From a Manny Diaz standpoint, I think he's run his course, man. I think that's it for him.
So I want to lay out a few reasons why I agree that we have seen what there is to see with Manny Diaz, right? There's some patterns that I don't think we can overcome. One of the most popular viral tweets that I've had in a long time was during the Michigan State game, or no, was it Appalachian State? I think it was during Appalachian State. I tweeted I'm done. This era should be over immediately, right? And I've been out. I have not wavered on that. I've been done since week 2, right? And here's the patterns, right? Is we lose to every good team that walks into the stadium. NC State is proving to be the anomaly in that, right? 2 years in a row. They are the only team with a winning record that we beat last year. That 8-3. I mean, if you want to look at the very surface, you can call it an impressive year. If you want to add context to it, if you want to give it critical thinking at all, the success starts to erode a little bit, right? We only beat one team with a winning record. Think about that for a second. It's pretty crazy, So the lack of preparedness, every time we play a good team, the UNCs, the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Floridas, we get blown out. We don't even look like we belong, right? It's not even close. All right. Another thing is player development. Okay, we haven't been seeing that for years, man. Every single year, our best player is a transfer portal guy. How is that a thing? We're recruiting blue chip guys from South Florida, man. How is it that we're going up to Buffalo and pulling KJ Osborne down here, and he's now the best player on the Miami Hurricanes? He's from the University of Buffalo, man. Or Charleston Rambo getting forced out of Oklahoma. He comes and he's head and shoulders better than everyone on University of Miami, right? I mean, at least he had the pedigree. We're going to San Francisco to a community college and getting a punter who's probably the most valuable player we've had over the last 3 years, okay? We're going to FIU and getting a kicker who comes in, and if we didn't have that kicker, probably not 8-3 last year. Probably closer to 6-4 or 5-5, honestly. It just keeps happening, man. There's no way that you have to develop your players. Okay, it doesn't matter how well you recruit if you can't develop it. So I think we've seen enough. I'm over Manny Diaz. I'm done with it. He can't recruit. He can't prepare a team. His scheme is fluky at best, right? It's time to move on.
Jordan, your take on this one here. Regardless of what happened today, does Manny Diaz remain the head coach of this football team throughout the rest of this season?
Probably. That doesn't mean it's the right move, but probably.
Does that have to do with Blake James mostly?
Dude, I mean, that's the problem that we're facing, right? Is I don't know if I trust Blake James to not only make the right decision to fire Manny Diaz, I sure as hell don't want him deciding who replaces Manny Diaz. I can't trust the board of trustees to make the right decision to fire Blake James. I don't know if I want them to choose who replaces Blake James.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a mess.
What a mess. We're a football school, okay? I know that we have the medical stuff going on, but UHealth uses the football logo. Think about that for a sec. That stuff's important, okay? I'm a history major. That's the type of stuff you talk about. Where do you receive your credibility and your authority? Where is it derived from? Okay. The entire University of Miami institution is telling us with their marketing, we receive our authority and our credibility from the football field. Okay.
100%.
Yep.
And so does their decision-making reflect that? Absolutely
Nope.
not. Absolutely not. So, dude, there are just so many institutional problems when it comes to football. I mean, would any of us have ever even heard of the University of Miami if it weren't for their football team in the early 80s?
Dude, for me growing up in South Seattle, no way in hell I would have heard about it. Especially would have caught that swag and fell in love with it. I didn't never even know what it was about.
So tell me this. I mean, how many other schools that specialize in marine biology have you heard of? They have nothing else going for them. Can you tell me the top 5 marine biology programs in America?
No.
I sure can't.
No. I'd have to say maybe Hawaii would be one of them.
Yeah, I know. I mean, right? It's just, dude, this whole situation is stupid. And I have zero confidence in anybody in the decision-making process, right? Julio Frank had to release a statement saying, okay, it looks like I guess I have to start paying attention to football. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The whole university uses the football logo. Like, that's just bad business.
Yeah, man.
All the way around.
Like, I don't care if it's a for-profit or a non-profit. Dude, if a company is neglecting their golden goose, right? If you're neglecting one of your flagship products, you deserve to be fired.
Yep.
And he has to release a statement that it's like, oh, it looks like I have to do my job now because I didn't hire the right people. It's like, dude, you're not the right people.
Yeah.
And anyone that you've hired is also not the right people. Dude, I'm over it. Like, I don't care if, like, I don't even know if it's right to fire Manny Diaz unless you're cleaning house, burning the whole thing down. I know that they're not going to fire Julio Frank, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was the minister of health for the country of Mexico.
Yeah.
And like, so he's not going anywhere. I'd be shocked. But like, the whole organization of the athletic department needs to be overhauled in a big way.
Now, Chavez, what do you think, man? We're getting here to about the end of our show here. We're a little over an hour in. And thank you to the fans. We've had over 100 fans tuning in with us to hear us ramble about these damn Canes. But, being a former player yourself, Chavez, where do you think, not just Diaz, where does he sit, but where does the football team sit looking at Diaz going, hey, this is our head coach. We don't know if he's even going to be here next week.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know, man. But as a team, like, when you're a player in that situation, it's kind of nerve-wracking because you've got to play, but you're always thinking about the future. You're always thinking about the guys who are going to be around you. You're always thinking about the seniors, trying to help them go out. You're always thinking about, where am I going to land next year? If the coaching staff is coming back, then okay, look, I know all these coaches. They know me. I'm the next man up. But if the coach get fired and it's a whole new staff, well, now you got to prove yourself all over. Do they believe in me? Do they trust me? Do they even want me here? I kind of went through that when I was going with recruiting. Which is why I didn't go to some of the schools, or why I didn't consider some of the schools who started to recruit me late in the process, because I was like, well, do you really want me, or do you want me because other schools want me now? Yeah. Or, are you now looking at me because I'm playing in all these all-star games? Miami was one of the schools who first started recruiting me when I was like a junior. But anyway, with Manny, man, I think they'll let him finish out the season. I think the only way Manny saves his job is we win out and go to a bowl game and win, or maybe we win, maybe we lose one more game. Even then, I don't know, man. I just think how it performs, but then again, I'm not even sure, because does the school really care about football right now? Like, does it matter?
That's what we've been trying to figure out, bro. Honestly,
it's like Jordan said, man. I think is like, that would be like Ford, the CEO of Ford, saying, hey, maybe I should start looking over these F-150s we're selling.
Yeah, right.
I don't, maybe I should start paying attention like that.
It don't sound right.
That's why we know Ford for F-150s. That's why we know Miami for football. So how do you not make that a priority? there's half of the other sports are probably existing because of Miami football. When I was growing up, I knew Miami football. I didn't even know where the University of Miami was based. I just know that they were a hell of a football team and that they were winning championships.
Yep.
When I got to Miami, they used to always tell us, they were like, I think they said in the past 20 or the past 10 years, from like, I think it was either 86 or 96, they were like, Miami has played in half of the national championship games for like the past 10 years.
Yep.
That was the standard. That was part of the reason I went there. The year I went there, we were ranked number 9. So I was like, yeah, we're a top 10 program. Of course I'm going to play here. But now it's just like
tropical Boston College, as I call it.
Yeah. It's like, hey man, I hope you guys do well over there. I hope the football team does okay this year. Maybe we can pay for some other sports. So I don't know if they really care, man. I think if Manny wins a few more games, I think he'll save his job, only because I don't think the university really cares about football right now. I think that's kind of like, it's kind of like on the back burner. They're like, well, hey, as long as we have a winning record and we go to a bowl game, then we'll let this continue.
Well, just from a common sense business / economics point of view, this can't be said enough. I've said it before. I will say it every week. Like, they say we don't have enough money, right? The most expensive thing in the world is mediocrity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's opportunity costs. Okay.
Yep.
How much money are you losing when only 5,000 people show up into the stands, right? Yep. Like that's way more expensive than paying a buyout. That's way more expensive than hiring premier talent.
Long-term mediocrity is even worse. Being mediocre for 4 or 5 years, you can deal with that. 15, 20 years of mediocrity, you start to even lose track of how you want to rebuild. You don't even know how to rebuild because you really haven't had to take that shot yet.
Right. Yeah.
It's where some of this desire from some fans, of course, is that, if we're going to lose, we need to lose big. This needs to collapse so we can have a full-out philosophy change. But, talking with you guys and stuff, it sounds like we're pretty clear that regardless of how the season goes, Manny Diaz is going to finish out the season as our head coach unless something absolutely terrible happens. Now, the question I'm going to have for you guys before we end the show today, hypothetical here, Manny Diaz finishes this season. We finish with a 6-win bowl game, and we compete in it. Is Manny Diaz our coach the following season?
Well, first I want to shout out to Mike Williams. Thank you for the donation.
Yep.
Appreciate it, Mike.
The answer is probably, and that pisses me off, man. Like you guys probably won't see me doing content creation next year if that's the case. I mean, why would any of us care, dude? Why would any of us care? Like, I mean, obviously Chavez is different for you, right? You're an alumnus. I mean, you put blood, sweat, and tears into the program. Dude, I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, right? Like, if the administration cares less than I do, I got a problem.
Yeah.
I got a problem. I've never lived in Miami, okay? Like, I have no ties to this team except for 15 years of being a fan, right? Of cheering for no other football team, of watching every game. Like, it's stupid, man. Like, I'm running out of words. You guys could probably tell. This whole situation is idiotic. If they don't make a change, why should any of us care?
I think we're going to discover a lot next week. Next week is going to tell us a lot about Manny Diaz and this football team. What do you do after you come off of a win like that? The biggest win of your season so far against a top 25 team.
Mm-hmm.
If we come out next week and we just lay an egg and we start off slow again, it is as if the NC State game didn't even really matter. And that's what I don't want. I don't want wins to never matter, but a coaching staff can wipe out wins pretty damn quick within the next week of just shitty coaching. So, man, wanted to thank you guys. Jordan, dude, thanks for joining me, man. You're awesome co-host. Chavez Grant, former Canes player, jumped in here today. Chavez, man, thank you so much, dude. Your insight's off the hook.
For sure,
anytime, man. Anytime. I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I appreciate the invite. Anytime I can jump on, man, I love the U. It's a it's a bad time for us, but it's great jumping on here, hearing from you guys and hearing from the fans, and appreciate everybody watching. And thanks for the invite again, man. Anytime, you know how to get in contact with me, brother.
Yep. We'll be in touch, bro. All right. Thank you, Canes fans, for tuning in, man. We got 114 of you right now, had about 114, 115 all night. So thank you for the support.
Awesome.
We will be back again after the next game. We'll do this every single week, win or lose. So expect to see my ugly face next week, guys. We're tapping out. Thanks, Canes fans.
See you guys.
All right.